This is Design Safe Radio, where natural hazards researchers strive to make our society more resilient to everything nature throws at us.
You do a lot of outreach at the Wall of Wind, especially in your role there. And you've got this annual event that I think you just finished, the WOW Challenge for high school students. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Would love to. And the fact you mentioned students, so I'll kind of connect the dots with that. So, first of all, at the Wall of Wind, of course, we have our faculty researchers, but we have college students. Okay. And so you have undergrad, master's level, PhD, postdoc. And the fact that they are able to get hands-on experience as an engineering student here at FIU with the Wall of Wind, it's so unique, right? Because there aren't like 100 Wall of Winds all across the country. So our civil engineering department, having a Wall of Wind, which is now the wind engineering part of civil engineering, our students get invaluable hands-on experience in wind engineering. And so when it comes to their resume and their experience and getting hired, they're very unique, and they get hired pretty quickly to companies even all across the country and here in South Florida. So connecting now with the Wall of Wind Challenge, so we decided it would be a great education outreach event to have a competition. How can we take the Wall of Wind into our community and into our school systems and think about STEM careers and getting kids interested in wind engineering and inspire them in that way. And so let's take this into our local schools. So the Wall of Wind Challenge, what we do is with the annual competition, we then have our faculty come up with whatever the challenge will be that year, and we give it to the student teams from the high schools. So they have to do three things. They have to do a research paper that's graded and judged. Then they do live at the Wall of Wind. They do a live presentation, PowerPoint presentation to one set of judges. And then their structure, the solution for this, the physical structure, the solution to the challenge is then tested by our real Wall of Wind. And for the kids coming out that day, they never forget it. It's a day they'll always remember, and they're always on the edge of their seat when their physical structure is being tested to see how well it performs. So then we add up all three scores, and at the end of the day, we give out the awards and so on. But this whole experience for them to design something, Dan, it never fails.
Yeah.
How ingenious these kids are, how creative they are. Never underestimate, right? The young minds here.
Unfettered by cynicism.
Well, there you go, right? That's a great way to think about it. Absolutely. And the variety they come up with, they just do a fantastic job every year. And so the judges, I then recruit former students who went through the Wall of Wind program, graduated, and work for local engineering companies.
Oh, wow.
They come back and be the judges. And then we also ask for additional sponsorships to help pay for food and awards and other things related to the competition. And they get their companies to be sponsors. So now you can see how these high school students may get motivated, inspired to take wind engineering at FIU. They come to FIU, and then as they are student volunteers for the Wall of Wind Challenge, then they graduate, get hired by a company in South Florida. So then I bring them back as judges, and they have their company be sponsors. So we connect all those dots.
That's incredible. And if you haven't already written a playbook for how you'd put that together, I will encourage you to do that and share it with the rest of the NHERI facilities. We're always looking for really innovative ways to do workforce development and outreach for those who are really plugged into what's going on in NHERI. We just had a study released by the Nexite group that the National Science Foundation hired for what the next decade of natural hazards research should look like. And one of the big things in there that I glommed onto was, how can we do things like that? Get people who are in high school interested in wind engineering and go into the field at FIU or at University of Florida. We don't discriminate. Gators are good too.
Yeah.
And get them interested in wind engineering and become practicing engineers or research scientists, or in some way get them into advancing this field. So that's just brilliant work, and would love to see similar programs like that in coastal engineering, in geotechnical, in earthquakes, structural engineering. Things like that would be really cool.
Oh no, absolutely. It's a great way to bring it all full circle. But it's a win-win in so many ways. It just being in your local community, all the facilities within NHERI are doing incredible, wonderful work. But then letting the folks know in their community, hey, look what's being done in your backyard. And the local school systems love our competition. There's every year there are science fairs, there's solar car competitions, there's robot competitions, which are all great. But there's only one wall of wind competition because of how unique our facility is. But they love how it also checks all the boxes for STEM career, and the disciplines that's involved, and you mentioned workforce development. That's what it's all about. If we can get more of our students into these areas, because there is a need. We all know that. Looking down the road in the future, with more extreme events and other issues, having more of our students get really inspired to go in these areas. And also, we have a meteorology department here at FIU, and I purposely bring the meteorology students to tour the wall of wind, learn about the wall of wind, because again, kind of cross-disciplinary approach. As a meteorologist, which is I am, I never learned about wind engineering or anything about this going through school. But that's why I bring our meteorology students over to the wall of wind. So it broadens now their awareness and knowledge of the whole picture of the problem, if you will, right? There's a hurricane, there's the science of a hurricane. How does it form and how does it create it in computer models? And that's the meteorology. But now the effects of that hurricane on the environment and on buildings and structures, and we need to prepare how we can make them stronger, but then shuttering our windows, right? And what we've learned in Florida, we tie down our rooftops so they don't blow off. We shape the roof in a hip-shaped design. So for the meteorology students, at least to have their mind, them exposed and made aware of this, I think is great for them. And I wish I had that when I was a student.
It's huge. I mean, it's similar in, my background is mechanical engineering, and why it's important for mechanical engineering students to spend time in a machine shop or manufacturing environments, or a auto repair shop, or people actually building the kinds of things that they'll be designing, so they can not do knuckleheaded stuff like put an oil filter in the middle of an engine where you can't get at it.
Right. Right, absolutely. And with the wall of wind students, with my outreach events, we do a STEM day on campus earlier in the year. Then we do Wall of Wind Challenge. Then we do a big outreach event at our local science museum, Museum Discovery and Science in Fort Lauderdale. It's a big hurricane day. And I encourage the Wall of Wind engineering students to volunteer, be volunteers at these outreach events, because as we become professionals, we're going to interface with the public and communicate with the public. And so being able to take all this incredible science, but now relate it to your neighbor, relate it to a teacher, relate it to the public, and show what it's all about. That's good PR, but it's a good awareness for the person hearing about it, but it's good experience for the students, because one day they may be asked to be on a podcast with you, Dan, and they'll be able to talk about it very nicely.
Yeah, I mean, if they've been trained by you at all, I'm sure they will be a fantastic interview.
Okay.
These are always like
Oh,
some of my favorite conversations, and I wish we could talk for 3 hours. And some point, if you need to escape the humidity of South Florida, come up to here to Oregon, where we haven't heard of such things.
oh,
Uh,
there, oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Eric, where can people follow along with what you and the team at FIU are doing?
Well, what's great is you can go right to our website. That's the quickest and fastest way. If you then look up NHERI Wall of Wind, NHERI, or Design Safe Wall of Wind, go to our website, and which lately we've been updating, fresh with all new information, the whole design, and you'll have everything you want to see. Our news stories, our videos are all there. And you can follow us on social media as well on Facebook, Wall of Wind, and Extreme Events Institute. We put all the Wall of Wind on our social media there. And we are working on a bigger vision, a bigger facility. And on that, our webpage, we do have information. It's more to come. Everyone should stay tuned.
To
And
put
we'll
it mildly, a bigger facility.
Yes, yes. This will be something, will be more news will come out as the progress of this project. And for those that haven't heard of it, it's an NSF facility, and 9 universities. It's an all-star team of wind engineers to design a facility instead of
Wind and coastal.
Yes, instead of 157 miles per hour, the plan is to hopefully get to 200 miles an hour. So think of the Hurricane Dorians of the world and others. And now I like to think of it as an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and it may not, but in front of the fans, the
Maybe
wind blowing
bigger.
across the water, it might, and that water hitting the structure. So now you have storm surge and wave action. So more hazards under one roof. That'll be off the chart. But it's 4 or 5 years down the road. If things go according to plan, we shall see the time and so on. But we'll keep everyone stay tuned. But I mentioned that because there is now an active web page on the NHERI Design Save website, and we're connected to it on our website. People can file
And that one is I can't remember what it stands for, but the acronym is NICHE.
Yes, NICHE.
Yeah, that one we'll have a lot more podcasts about that as it becomes more real and out of the design phase. But just so people know, like there's real work going on with this. It's not just a science project. Well, that's not a great analogy. It's not a pie in the sky, pipe dream thing. There's real engineering work. I was at Oregon State University, about an hour north of here, and they were testing out these fans, smaller scale, quote unquote, fans,
Yes.
From another facility that they put on top of their wave flume, 400-foot long wave flume. And it's like, man, this is the small scale test project.
Yes, right. So what they're about to get into is the prototypes of the big system. There'll be a wind prototype that they're going to work on here at FIU, just north of the current wall of wind. And then the water prototype, they've already started some of that testing, and I believe Oregon State has been a part of that. So they're in that part of the planning phase of this vision right now. So you will see how that goes before they then start taking the next steps.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and anybody who's listening and interested in science and where your tax dollars go, I mean, they are being well spent on the best engineers in the world that we have in our teams, making things like the Wall of Wind continue to be successful, and NICHE coming down the pipeline. It's just really exciting. Eric, thanks again for being here, especially the beginning of hurricane season. Hope you and your family and everybody down there go through hurricane season just fine. And thanks for the great work that you do. And it's always a pleasure to have you on here.
Always a pleasure. We'll do it again.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Design Safe Radio. Be sure to like and subscribe on whatever platform you happen to be listening to this on. It really helps people find our show. Thanks to our amazing sponsors, the National Science Foundation and the NHERI Network Coordination Office, which is award number 2129782.
Big thank you to Marty LaChance, our guest booker and topic researcher extraordinaire, and Raquel Ruiz, who is our video and audio editor. I'm your host and NHERI Facility Scheduling and Operations Coordinator, Dan Zahner. We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay resilient.